Swoohoo YouTube, it's SwooCube here, and we are back with another starter deck battle box deck tech video. I got to come up with a better title. If you have an idea, leave me one down in the description. What should this project be called? I call it the starter deck battle box because these decks that I designed are built to play well with the starter deck products from FFG. I think these decks are super fun, super flavorful, very balanced, and I'm trying to kind of create decks along that similar power level and vibe so I can pick up a deck and feel like I'm playing, a Jabba the Hutt type game against, any of these decks or any of the other decks I've built. So if you have a better title than Starter Deck Battle Box, drop it in the comment. Also, please, please, please give me a like, give me a subscribe. Putting a lot of time into this, and I very much appreciate support and encouragement, and let me know if you want me to do any other decks in the comments. Anyway, Jabba the Hutt today. We're going to talk about his leader side first. He is a 7 deploy with an action. Exhaust him to choose a unit to give it a bounty. That bounty is when you defeat that unit or capture that unit this turn, the next unit you play costs 1 less. So he's a leader with built-in ramp. It is not the easiest ramp to use. It's actually quite difficult to use, but it does matter and it comes up a lot. I find what matters more about Jabba is actually just having a reliable way to get a bounty on a unit, because there's lots of bounty payoffs, and you'll see some of that in this deck. So it's quite good, quite a good ability, and leads to some really interesting lines of play and sequencing challenges. Now on the flip side, Jabba the Hutt is the chubbiest unit we got. He's got 12 health. When he deploys, and this is huge, another friendly unit captures a non-leader unit. So when Jabba comes out, one of your other dudes can perform a capture, which is basically removal on your leader deploy, which is also very good. And then his bounty mechanic gets twice as good. He's not a great attacker, only 2 power, but that's not really why he's there. Playing, of course, with the only base that you'd play with this deck, Jabba's Palace. Now, Jabba was a difficult deck for me to balance. I went through about as many iterations of this deck as I have any other deck, and probably more. Had to make a lot of changes. One of the things, Jabba has a total embarrassment of riches in terms of flavor, right? Some decks I'm kind of scrounging to find cards that fit with the theme, because I really want these decks to really feel like the character that leads them. Bo-Katan has tons of Mandos, not so difficult, but like Cheer It. Or even Boba Fett, the original villain Boba Fett from the first block. There's not a whole lot of cards that just scream Boba Fett or scream Cheer It. And so you have to stretch a little bit and kind of make some concessions on flavor. Not so much with Jabba the Hutt. There were more cards that are total Jabba the Hutt cards than I could fit in this deck. Many cards that I wanted to play were cut, and part of the reason why I struggled to balance the deck is I just had a hard time focusing. Like, what does this deck want to do? What does it want to accomplish? But I think I have come up with a great solution. It's tested well. It's a lot of fun. It's powerful, but balanced, and it does kind of a unique thing, which is really all I'm trying to accomplish here. So without further ado, long preamble aside, let's get into the ground units here. We got 1 off Greedo, of course. He was going after Han under orders of Jabba the Hutt, trying to get that bounty. 2 Salacious Crumb. Now, this little guy creature is one of the coolest things about the deck. Well, it's a little engine in and of itself. Jabba, when he drops bounties, can often free up an extra resource. And Crumb, it gives you a nice little synergistic way to continually use that resource turn after turn. When played, he heals, and then action, you can exhaust it, return him to your hand to deal a damage to any unit. So it kind of acts as like a little pseudo Vader ping, but having, it's often in a game that you'll get 2 or 3 uses out of this, and that's really, really powerful for a 1-drop. So very much enjoy that card. Adds a little, a little kind of cool combo that you can do. Bib Fortuna also have to, right? 2 Underworld Thugs, and that's it for the turn 1 ground plays. This deck doesn't really want to be aggressive. Greedo's really the only aggressive ground unit in there. Underworld Thug is chosen for balance. I had stronger 2-drops in there before, but I found that the deck If it could really hit hard out of the gate, it was a little bit too strong. So that's an intentional down power, and also quite flavorful. Frontier Trader, not the strongest ground unit, but acts as card advantage. And I'm gonna get these out of the shadow here. Comes up big as we get towards the top of the curve, because there's a couple key units that you really want to find, and sometimes you're forced to resource them early. So I wanted you to have ways, Tatooine flavored ways to get those back. So this kind of de-stresses your early resource decisions. One Hunter of the Haxian Brood. Jabba can turn this on and make it a 4/3 shield for 3 with his bounty very strong. First 3 of in the deck, 3 reputable hunters. This is, as I said, we don't want to be super aggressive early. One of the reasons I had to down power the other early drop units is because this guy's very good in this deck. It's a 3/4 for 2 if you can use Jabba's action. I found it probably sounds a little bit stronger than it is, because it's a 3/4 for 2 that you almost always have to use a non-impactful board action before you get to play it. So it's a 3/4 for 2 that costs 2 actions effectively. I feel like that really balances out the above curve stats. But yeah, that's really what this deck's trying to do, is kind of play ahead of the curve a little bit in the mid-range kind of grind plan. So that is a key piece. You'll be seeing that in every single game. 1 Forlom, 1 Chain Code Collector. This card is the sleeper of the deck. Every turn you can give, your opponent's going to take this out pretty quick. But if obviously it's always attacking to give your opponent -4 attack on the attack, because when it attacks a bountied unit, the defending unit gets -4 attack. Jabba always chucks bounties, so this always has a good target to hit very consistently. And after you kill their first unit with Chain Code, if they don't attack back, Jabba can do it again and you can hit another unit. So this is, quite good in the mid game. 2 Gamorrean Guards and 4 Hutt Henchmen. Another flavor pick in, both the guards are great, but the Henchman is a 3 of number 1 flavor. Number 2, it is a 3/4 shielded unit, which can often be played for 3 resources, which is great. But having shielded units is really important for the capture. Jabba's got capture, there's other capture in this deck, and you need units that can take a hit and live, and this unit can take a couple hits and live, and it's on theme, so it's exactly what this deck wants. 1 Discerning Veteran, great capture. 1 Effant Mon on theme, and another source of capture. Zuckuss. Have to have Zuckuss if you're going to have Forlom, right? And then up the curve, we have 1 Bounty Hunter Crew, 2 Pirate Battle Tanks, and you've been waiting for it. 1 Jabba's Rancor. Let me get this on screen here. Patisa. Now, I really wanted to put more than 1 Rancor in the deck. I mean, this is like the flavor card for Jabba. You got to have it. However, it's so good that I could not do it. Whenever I saw multiples, like if you see this, it takes a lot of resources for your opponent to take this out if they don't have just a Vanquish or something like that on hand. It often takes 2 or 3 units, while this is attacking base for tons of power and also killing units. It can just decimate the opponent's board. Incredibly strong as a 7-drop, which it is because this is a Jabba deck. The opponent kills 1, you drop another. It's like game over 100% of the time. So I had to cut it to 1, but I have made some concessions in other areas of the deck to make it more likely that you will find Patisa, because that is really the goal of every game, is to grind it out and get to the point. You'll notice that there's really no units. Like Zuckuss has 6, but every other unit in the deck is 4 power or less. So this isn't the scariest attacking deck, but you're trying to kind of grind out advantage through board state, through using shielded defensive units, Jabba's ability when deploys, and some other capture removal to sort of get to Patisa, and then hopefully lock it up that way. Space units. We've got 2 privateer skicks. I don't really know how to pronounce that. I'll just call it a skick. It's a shielded 2/2 for 2 in space. Perfect. You know, that shielded yellow 7th Fleet Defender from set 1 would have also been fine. But I didn't feel like Imperial stuff was all that flavorful with Jabba, so we're going with the skick. 3 Black Stun Starfighters. These are road bumps that can also hit for some damage. Very good cards. 1 Corellian Freighter. And 2 Slaver's Freighter, kind of at the top end there. So a little bit chunky in space. Jabba really thrives off of these like 5 cost units. I feel like that's where about the stage of the game where his ability's online and being able to drop, you know, a freighter or actually they're both freighters on the first turn is quite good, or on the fourth resource turn because of the ramp from Jabba. Into the upgrades, we run 2 copies of Bounty Hunter's Quarry. Great to pull out some of those early game plays or the spaceships that we just looked at. 2 Price on Your Head. This deck doesn't need a ton of ramp, but I found that a little bit gave it some explosiveness, and also just there's a lot of cards in the deck that like bounties, so it was a good option. And of course, 2 Frozen in Carbonite. This is great removal. In yellow, 3 cost, pretty much knock something out unless they can remove it. Very good. And I like, could it be more on theme? The event package. 2 Take Captives, 1 Relentless Pursuit. Between the 3 of those, we have kind of 3 event-based capture effects. This is the best one, obviously, so it's limited to a one-off because there's lots of bounty hunters in the deck that can take the shield from it. But the Take Captives are, you know, it's a very strong card. Now, 3 No Bargains. This is one that took me a while to get to. Obviously, it's on theme. This is the scene in Return of the Jedi where Luke falls through the floor to face the Rancor. Like, perfectly themed for the deck. But it's a 3 resource, make the opponent discard, draw a card. These decks are really not played in multiplayer settings, so you're really just making the opponent discard a card and drawing a card. It's not crazy powerful. However, I found that the deck needed a little bit of help in the late game to kind of shut the door. Patissa, the Rancor, does an awesome job at doing so, but there's only 1 of them in the deck. And there's some other scary units as well, but I mean, really, you're looking to dig out that Rancor and close the door, and you need some help slowing the opponent down enough to get to do so. You know, come the 5, 6, 7 resource turn, right around when Jabba's coming down, is often when decks start to drop down to 1 or 2 cards in hand, and have enough resources to play all their outs. And these can really strip away some key things at that point. Also, it's possible to play these for 2 with Bib Fortuna in the deck. So yeah, these are a great early game play if you have Bib online, but they're just fine in the late game. And I am okay having 3 of them because this is a slower deck. It's trying to kind of win the long game and grind out over time. And yeah, again, it's the most flavorful thing there is. 1 No Good to Me Dead. 2 Recruits. These are key for just digging deeper into your deck, looking for those key late game units, specifically the Rancor. And then lastly, 1 Altering the Deal. There are, you know, Jabba's a guaranteed capture every time it comes down. We also have 3 event-based captures and 2 other unit-based captures. So throughout the game, there's a lot of ways to capture units, and this is just a nice way to kind of cheaply get rid of it for good. And that's it. That's the deck. It's a lot of fun to play. It kind of is, it's a chessy, kind of methodical, you know, you're not going to be running people down on turn 5 with this deck. But you're really, you know, trying to play the slow game, grind out advantage over time, make good trades, use your shielded units to maximum effect, get to Rancor, close the door with some discard, and do it that way. And it's a ton of fun. It really feels kind of Jabba-y. You have to plan, you have to think, you have to work at it. And it's a lot of fun. So thank you for watching again. Please like, subscribe, and I will be back with another deck in a couple days. Peace.